okay? Or it could just be your contact. So I can't recommend it. I love this. This is a company, it's actually called Tapin, so tapin.com. But what I love so much about this is it's a very inexpensive software that you can get. But look at how much information this particular one has. It gives you all of the contact V-card information, so everything that you would have on normal contacts. It lets you drop in a photo, a logo for your company, and then all of the information, etc. But I love this. It literally puts up the logos for Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, etc., etc. When you click on this, it automatically takes you to that particular link page directly. So if you're doing a lot on Facebook, or if you're doing a lot on LinkedIn, or if you're doing a lot on Twitter, and you want people to know you immediately, it works perfectly. It's brilliant. Inexpensive, fast. Now the cool part of it is, the first time somebody scans your QR code, it's going to ask, do you want to save it? You say yes, boom, goes directly into your contacts, and then it syncs throughout all of your contacts, computer, all of your devices. I think, how brilliant is that? I mean, if we really want to have a wonderful facilitation tool, it works perfectly. I'm going to show you some examples and some case studies. I'm going to move relatively quickly because I also want to make sure that we get into the augmented reality. I was in Toronto, picked up the Globe. I spent a lot of time in Canada. I go to the art section, and it was like 8 pages. I was like, now, I don't know if you know Toronto. Toronto's smoking. I mean, it's got a ton of stuff going on. And it was 8 pages in the newspaper. I thought, wow, this is really disappointing. I clicked on the code, and it took me to singularly one of the most beautifully designed microsites. It was the Toronto Cultural Site. And it had all of, the navigation was perfect. It was restaurants, it was theater, it was live music, it was museums. So it took me by category. You clicked on like movies, it took you by neighborhood, by date. And then it said, would you like to buy tickets? Yes. What time? Here are the show times. 1:15. How do you want to pay for it? PayPal. Boom. You just bought 2 tickets to go to the show this afternoon. It was like, how brilliant was this? Now, personally, it saddens me that this was, you know that this used to be probably 32 pages, and now it's 8. But the fact is, what they're saying here is this is a facilitation tool. They want to make this work for you. More importantly, I like this. I think it's brilliant. You'll notice newspaper. This QR code literally takes you to a YouTube video that is related to this story. Or you can click on this, and the beauty of it is they're only printing a 300 to 500 word article. If you want the full 5,000 word article, click on it. Or I love the one where it says there's a gallery of pictures related to this article. Click on it. You're seeing one picture, but here's 13 pictures in the gallery if you really want to see it. So the idea of the depth, the breadth and depth. And by the way, this is absolutely the exact concept and working procedure for tablets. The idea that I can show you this, and then I have a little arrow that says, here's the rest of the article if you want it, or scroll to the photos. What we're trying to do at this point is make sure that print is as operational as tablets. Does that make sense? So we have to think that way. Because here's the interesting thing. I'm going to do it for my tablet, so why do I not make it available for the print reader at the same time? We were talking earlier about microsites. This is actually very old. I probably cut this out, I gotta say, 4 years ago. One of the very early companies that was doing this was Ford. This is actually my BlackBerry when I had one. I scanned the microtab, and I wanted you to see how beautifully they synchronized the print to the online experience. Obviously a microsite designed for that aspect ratio, that 3:3.5 aspect ratio BlackBerry. Very easy navigation, clicked right through, and it literally took you on a PowerPoint presentation of Sync. Nice little show. And then at the very end, it said, would you like a live demonstration? And you clicked yes, and it literally took you to a video that rolled. And it worked beautifully. And then at the end, it said, would you like to make an appointment with Ford to do this in person? And you could say yes. And then and as this progressed, by the way, when you said yes, it literally found the closest Ford dealership and allowed you to make an appointment. I mean, how much easier can we make it, in terms of facilitation? Very, very old ad. I clipped this out of Men's Vogue, which is unfortunately not even published anymore. This was Ralph Lauren. Boy, that's ugly. Because, put it this way, back then, they didn't even know. They could have made this brown and just blended it right in. They could have literally picked up the art back here and used it as the art to create the code and had a perfect sort of, blend in it. Tell you a quick story, sort of funny sidebar. I'm doing an international webinar. And if you've ever done a webinar, you're looking at your slides and you're talking. And then in the side, there's a list of names of who's attending. And down at the bottom, there's a little chat box, and people can be asking questions. And if you're good, and you've done this for a while, and you're not freaking out, you know your material, so you're reading the questions at the same time, and you're trying to integrate it into your talk. So I was doing this, and this came up, and I was talking about this is old, and I've been doing this for a while, and all of a sudden I'm reading the chat box, and it reads, I designed that ad. And it was like one of those, and then he wrote, which was amazing, he said, when we first did this took you to our microsite, and our microsite inside of this huge Ralph Lauren website was for men's watches, with an ad running simultaneously in Women's Vogue for women's watches. And he said what it does now, you click on it, and it literally takes you to the Ralph Lauren storefront microsite for watches that lets you scroll through and literally. So and the reason I'm sharing this story with you is this. You create a QR code. You own it because it's an URL. Does that make sense? You decide when it's clicked on what the server is going to give. You can update it anytime you want. You can make this expirable. In other words, I could click on that and it says, oh, I'm sorry, that promotion ended March 31st. Please go to this site, or I'm sorry, that promotion has ended, but we're clicking you through to the new promotion. Does that make sense? You own the code, you decide what you want it to do. Okay? That's going to be very, very important when you do your QR code tattoo. Anyway, all right, I made this point, I'm going to hit it really hard again. Please, now I am saying this to you as a creative director. I am also saying this to you as a marketing director. Do not, at this point in the stage of the game, never put out a QR code that does not have, unless it's your personal, but that does not have some sort of iconography, some sort of logo, some sort of brand. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Look at this. This was an ad. Now, this is one of ours, not to be solicitous. This is one of ours, but what I wanted you to see is this is our EQ, which is our environmental quotient, which is our sustainability environmental group. So this is the logo, this is the brand. You see it again, and then you see it again. You've seen now the brand 3 times on the page. That is creating brand recognition and brand penetration. Does that make sense? It could have been a tree. It could have been a waterfall. It could have been whatever. My point is, you have the opportunity to capture somebody's attention and build brand. Most of you, I'm sure, have got different departments or different groups or different. Each one should have their own brand and their own iconography that represents that brand. Please.
So you download the ping of the QR code, and then you take that and you just embed your art into the center of it?
I will give you, at the end, I'll give you a mashup. And if you go to that site, what it does is it walks you through, create the code, create the icon in Illustrator.
Okay.
and then do this. It'll take you right through the steps. It's really easy. I cannot emphasize more strongly. It's as easy, quite frankly, as creating line art in Illustrator, taking your QR code, going in, using the erase tool, you know, look at how much you need to put it down, see how much you need to erase. You'll notice in this case, you know, we were able just to erase very little, put in the code, and then again, please, I want you to hear my voice in the back of your head. Test, test, test. Okay? But you'll be, not only will you be amazed and amused, you will truly be charmed by the whole process, because then you'll stop and you'll think, why would I not do this?
Right, right.
But it also says that you have a sense, or your artist has a sense, of creating interesting line art. It could be as easy as a typographic icon, or it could be something like line art. And I'm going to show you a beautiful example in a second. Please.
How much of the second, how much do you have to use? I mean, do you just have to make sure that you got that, the left bar and the top bar?
Remember what I said. Position detectors, data. If your URL is really, really chunky, it's going to start using this area in here. But I'm going to show you some stuff. Believe me, it's breathtaking, and it'll give you a sense of where it goes. Jimmy, please.
You made that purple?
Yes, absolutely. I could have made it dark blue, dark purple, whatever. Yeah. Again, 30 to 35% contrast ratio is really just like being able to read a barcode on an envelope. You know, you could do it in color, or the idea of if you're doing calligraphy, which I've done for years, on envelopes, you have to be very careful about the ink color to the envelope color. You have to have a minimum of 35% contrast ratio. Please?
Quick question, maybe you would address it or
Yeah.
address it later, but say I know basically nothing about Quora other than what you told me today, and I want to start having one for our product,
Yes.
our division,
Yes.
whatever. How do I go about that? Not being an expert?
Yeah. Well, typically you have to spin around 3 times, spin to the north.
Ah!
You do the thing with the chicken. I hate the thing with the chicken, but you know you got to do it in order to have good art, because that's what designers do now. You know. The first thing I would ask is, could you take your logo or one of the brands within your company and turn it into line art?
And we have the graphic design, right?
So the answer is yes. So the fact is, as soon as you can do that, now, by the way, I'm going to show you some things in just a second where, let me do it, okay? Hold on and you'll see. Because as long as you've got, you know, the creative force with you. So, this is what we can do. It does not have to be ugly. It does not have to be clunky, okay? It can be fun. It can be beautiful. You know, now you'll notice here, contrast ratio, they were careful. You'll notice that they had the quiet zone just to make sure, but they also made sure that it integrated into the art. Breathtaking. By the way, this is 5 years old. 2-color, drop shadow, icon in the center. Everybody recognize it at home?
Yes.
I mean, come on, 5 years old. And, by the way, you want to talk about how brilliant, we actually did a whole Designing for Obama tour throughout North America. So we know the designers who did it. And to talk about the brilliance of this, you went to this, you scanned it. It took you to a navigational page where, yes, I want to make a donation, or send me to the storefront, I want to buy merchandise. I want the touring schedule, or take me to the landing page of policy, blah, blah, blah. So it was multifunctional. Does that make sense? It was brilliant. It was brilliantly designed. It's people sitting down together and saying, what do we want it to do? One person, well, I want to sell the t-shirts and the caps and the ball, and okay, fine, so storefront. I want it to be a place where we can donate my, fine, okay. You do it on a dry erase board, and then ultimately you design the functionality to it. If you can design a microsite, that's going to take you to it, okay? I love this place. Look at this. First of all, they spun the logo, right? They broke the walls. By the way, this is their logo.